Today we are going to learn about case study. Now we can see three different case study: air, water, marine. Case study in air. The first Clean Air Act was enacted in 1956 in UK because of the London fog which occurred on 4/12/1952. 4,000 people died and 1,000 were injured in a single weekend. The fog was so thick that automobiles and people were stranded due to poor viability and clothing, and exposed skin became filthy in minutes. Sulfur dioxide from burning coal oxidized to sulfate ions and dissolved in the atmospheric moisture, resulting in sulfuric acid. The acrid smoke caused choking and damaged the epithelial tissues in the lung, resulted in the deaths. On the 2nd of December 1984, methyl isocyanate gas leaked from the Union Carbide factory in Bhopal. It was one of the worst chemical disasters in the world. It was caused by leakage of the gas due to the combination of malfunctioning instruments, corroded pipes, and negligence. The leak occurred at night and affected thousands of people who lived in congested areas near the factory. Many died in their sleep and others died in weeks that followed. More than 10,000 people died due to the toxic gas, and more than 50,000 people suffered some type of health damage. Case study in water. In April 1956, some people living near Minamata Bay in Japan suddenly had fits, difficulty in walking, and other neurological problems. Fish were found floating deaths in the sea, and animals also showed symptoms of severe neurological damage. Investigation found that chemicals factory was discharging effluents high in methyl mercury into the Minamata Bay. People suffered from brain damage and birth defects due to the mercury contaminated seafood. Hundreds of people died and 1,000 more were affected lifelong. Since the disease was unheard before, the victims were socially ostracized because people thought the disease was contagious. It was after 12 years from the first death that the cause of the contamination was finally admitted, and the company was ordered to stop dumping effluents into the Minamata Bay, clean up the bay, and compensate the victims, most of whom were dead by then. Case study 2. The Yamuna is one of the most polluted rivers in India. The river flows for a distance of 1,375 kilometers. The 22-kilometer stretch of the river between the Vaisrabad and Okla barracks along Delhi is the worst polluted stretch of the river and has virtually no aquatic life. The river Yamuna provides 3/4 of Delhi water needs. Yet in Delhi, the river Yamuna is black and covered in many areas with the toxic foam of industrial, chemical, floating plastic, and human waste. More than 10 million people live in Delhi. Yet the city does not have a proper sewage disposal system. 850 million gallons of untreated sewage enter the river every day. The city's 35 sewage treatment plant can barely treat a quarter of the waste that is produced every day. The coliform bacteria which is formed from raw sewage is 22 million per 100 ml of water in Delhi. A coliform bacteria count 500 per 100 ml is considered unsafe even for bathing. Marine pollution case study. Plastic is the most common type of marine litter. 10 to 20 million tons of plastic litter finds its way into the ocean each year. Over 2/3 of this ends up on the seabed, and half the remainder is washed up on beaches, and the other half floats on or under the surface. Large area of the oceans are now littered with plastic debris. One such area is known as the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. The ocean currents carry the plastic trash, and the vortex concentrate the plastic litter in patches. There are similar patches in other oceans also. Case study 2. In April 2010, an explosion occurred on an offshore oil drilling rig in the Gulf of Mexico that resulted in oil gushing into the ocean. This was the largest accidental oil spill in history, and the well continued to leak for 3 months. 5 billion barrels of oil flowed into the Gulf. The spill killed the fishes, birds, and the turtles as they were coated with oil. Chemical dispensers were used to combat the spill, which added to the pollution of the ocean. This incident led to a temporary moratorium on deep water drilling, but it was soon lifted in view of the demand for oil. Thank you.